and welcome to Campaign Comrades. Thank you so much for gathering today. I have some somber news for you. As we roll into the holidays here, I must inform all of you, my fellow co-hosts here, that we have all been laid off. None of us will ever talk about or be involved in gaming ever again. The gaming industry has decided that no more commentators are necessary. We've all been made redundant, like most of the industry.
Breaking
itself.
news, I'm starting a spin-off studio. And I'm suing all of you.
I'm the real spiritual successor to Campaign Comrades. I've been backed by Russian oligarch crypto money, and I'm suing you for wrongful termination. Folks, it's that time of year. It is our annual wrap-up episode where we go in and give the actual game awards that matter, that actually mean something, that have real artistic credibility.
I'll translate this to everyone. This is
Astrobot isn't winning.
Astrobot's winning every category.
Yeah, like I've been, reminding the guys, repeatedly, I've given you your freedom, but just like, don't forget, do all your nominations. Matt's like, I've been done with this for weeks at this point. It's just Astrobot sweep through it all.
Except for one specific category, which goes to my favorite Concord.
Sweet Concord.
Game of the Year.
Did you guys see, though, speaking of the, quote, real game awards, that I don't know who's behind it. I haven't gone that far into it. It's probably the same group of grifters as we normally see, but are doing the, quote, real game awards. But in order to actually participate and vote in it, you've got to pay them $30.
Oh, my God.
That's a great grift.
Wow. Pay $30 to, memorialize how you hate woke gaming.
I mean,
That'll be on the record.
That's how you show you care, is through your bank
How are you
statement.
going to feel when Astrobot wins that one as well?
I did look through their nominations, and it reads as like a normal game award, pick of everything seemed pretty reasonable until you get to like the ones where they're like best game journalist and worst game journalist, and where like the best game journalist
Worst game journalist.
the best game journalist is like the
Fuck, no, we need to take that. We need to take that for next year. We need to do worst game journalist.
No, there's one who's like one of the normal grifters, one who I know like is big enough to that I see him pop up, usually getting dunked on, an absolute idiot. But the others are like anime girl profile picture people who are probably like fascists, because half of the people
Midori wasn't a fascist. Midori was just a middle-aged man in New York City posing as a Japanese woman.
Correct, but this is a leaker, not a journalist. There's a distinction there.
They're the same thing.
But most people with anime girl profile pictures are usually like trans femme fascists, like the weirdest conglomeration of ideologies coming together.
I'm glad that you specify anime girl profile picture.
Yes,
because as a Joseph Joestar profile picture on Discord,
yeah. I've sent Matt those memes before. It's like what you can tell. Like what can you tell about the person by their anime profile picture? And I forget the whole list, but they're really good. They're really good.
So
I'm pretty sure it's a Joe
Speedwagon. Would you all of a sudden be like, "Oh no, Matt's gone to the dark side"?
Oh yeah, he's become noted Nazi collaborator Joseph Speedwagon. Yeah.
Didn't you just like describe
not Joseph
Red Scare listeners
Mario Speedwagon
from my understanding?
Yeah. So
definitely a Venn diagram crossover.
So that Venn diagram is a circle. Yeah. So that was really funny. That popped up into my my For You page the other day, looking at the real Game Awards. I'm like, these
all right,
these
I'm gonna have
posers.
to cut you off here real quick. We got to make time for our sponsored ad segment here real quick.
Yeah,
followed by a couple reveal trailers for games you haven't heard of yet, and then
we'll
get back to the awards.
For another gotcha game. Yeah, we've got our.
This one's called Zenless Zone 1. It's a sequel to Zenless Zone 0.
We have our revised and updated categories, but I was going to say, like, these grifters are, let's forget charging people $30, but they're just late to late to the trend, right? We've been doing this for what? This is our third.
Yeah,
Our
but we're
third
smart. We
end of year
don't
episode?
engage with actual people voting because the people don't matter. And if we did that, all that would win would be Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves.
Yeah, that's it. You got to get the gotcha slop. You got to get the slot machine going. If I can't go ka-ching, it doesn't it doesn't end up on my game of the year list. Yeah, we've got some new and returning categories. It tends to be our MO as we kind of fall into this pattern is we've got a few mainstays of categories, and then we kind of update things to be more fitting to the year that we've seen. And before we jump into actual awards, before we started recording, Andrew, where you're saying like that, this has been felt like a surprising year of contrast, right? There's been a bunch of good stuff, but then a whole lot of slop as well. And just in general,
I would argue
how's
that
everybody's
every year
gaming
has a whole lot of slop, and you just ignore it.
I mean, what's the statistic of how many games get released to Steam each year? That's just all just fucking vaporware, and
it's got to be in like the thousands.
It's
that's a weird stat to try to make me pull up. I can give you the stat that on average per year, people only engage with on Steam about 15% of games that released that year.
Yeah, Steam as a platform is one that does trend to be more not just classics, but it's I guess
this past year was 15%. The year before was 12%. The year before that was I think 18%. So most people on Steam engage with older games, not new releases.
Steam is such a huge platform and has so many users. But then as I was looking at my Steam Wrapped thing this year, it was like I barely played. Matt and I have talked about this. Like we barely played PC games this year. Yet the few games that I did play put me at. I think I played. It was either 7 or 8 PC games this year. And that wasn't even finishing. Those were some that were either roguelikes or demos. It included demos, but that put me ahead of 50% of the Steam user base. So it's just people just have Steam accounts and just aren't doing shit.
They buy one game and they play it for 17 years.
Well, there's that, and then there's me. I don't think I played a Steam game this year unless we played one on stream. Otherwise, I didn't play a Steam.
I mean, you could easily tell if you went to your Steam page and checked your Steam recap. If it just has a sad face, it probably means you didn't play anything.
You played Half-Life for the podcast.
Yes, that is the only one I played. Yes, you're right. That was Steam.
Mine was bolstered by 50 hours of Erdtree. Spoiler, that might be showing up later.
Yeah, I had Erdtree on mine.
Oh, yeah. 50. Wow, I think I put in more than you.
Yeah, I put in somewhere around 50 or so to Erdtree. But mine got confused because I also did it back to back. I did a full other playthrough into. It was like a full-ish, a New Game Plus run playthrough of the base game and the DLC for a full
you became enlightened and you learned that the only thing you need to play these games is a giant stick that go bonk.
Big stick that go bonka bonka and just spin to win. Except this time it's just Lion's Claw. Just
spin to win.
It doesn't matter if it uses all of your stamina to do 2 swings. Those 2 swings kill everything.
Yeah. It's Jover. It's Jover for them. But just like it's Jover for them, folks, it's Jover for 2024. It has been an interesting year in gaming. As I was preparing for this episode, I for my own utility was collating just lists of what I considered major games, whether ones that I was aware of, had already played, or things that I had, just seen in the discourse and things that had lots of coverage. There's plenty of other games that were on these lists that, I basically ignored, just because not many people played them or talked about them. Doesn't mean that they weren't good games, but just worthy of discussion at this level. And I was left kind of disappointed. I guess it's largely just because of last year felt so kind of groundbreaking in terms of you had these, we're talking about the big games in a year that had Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate 3 as these kind of massive worlds and really kind of inventive gameplay and story mechanics. It just felt it felt a cut above of what we got this year. Even though there was some really good things in there, some highlights, it felt fewer and far between, like that I was going for longer stretches without finding something. I played a lot of older games. Older being, games not released this year, right?
That was honestly part of my issue with some of these categories, was just wanting to be current, because I definitely did the same thing throughout. Like, there were, the couple of big releases that I played, and then a lot of what I played was from prior years, recently, but still prior years.
Yeah, so let's kick things off. We got a lot of categories to get through. We did cut down a little bit from previous years to try to keep
we're
ourselves.
going real long here. We've got categories. We also have ad segments that we need to make space for.
Can't forget, who pays the bills here, right?
Genshin Impact. They bought every ad space. And if they win Game of the Year, every Genshin Impact player...
I was going to say Raid Shadow Legends is here
no,
for
we
us.
Have we have more class than to take our Raid sponsorship.
So does Raid Shadow Legends have the gambling of a gacha game? It's like, where do you compromise your morals?
You see, Genshin Impact bought me. They said, if you get Game of the Year nomination from us, we'll give you free digital currency that you
free
can spend
digital
on.
free digital waifus to create your own digital harem. I mean, who amongst us that is not cultured and enlightened, would not be enticed by such a...
I played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for 162 hours.
I played it for 101 hours this year. One of my top gaming experiences of the year.
Matt, why is Matt's playtime so much greater?
Because he grinds. Because he grinds.
Game.
Well, he also grinds out more of the...
I grind out 100%, and then I do New Game Plus.
Yeah. I did not do New Game Plus, nor did I grind...
Either way, he's a freak. Like, you know
Absolutely.
What you were going for?
Absolutely.
Yeah, either way.
Absolutely. Because with how Xenoblade 2 works, right? There is a gacha system there in terms of trying to get all the different blades. I didn't bother with that, and then you've got to try to match the
this guy
affinity
over
for
here
all
didn't
blades.
get Cosmos, the 0.042% drop rate blade.
I did not. I definitely did not. All right, so should we jump into things?
Yeah, we can.
Here we are. We're at the awards.
That was our little pre-show bit. Now we're getting into the main event.
The red carpet's ended, and walking to the stage, we have Andrew presenting the very first award.
I like that you're speaking in the third person here. You're reminding me of Miss Reynolds.
As you apply your clown makeup, you look at yourself and think, man, will I ever get to see Bloodborne 2? Am I really this much of an idiot? And maybe you are, and this award is for you. This is the cyberpunked most overhyped game that failed to live up to its promise or was just completely busted at launch. I'm gonna, before we get to the winners or nominations here, just say, I think 24 has a lot of strong contenders for this award. I could see this being a contentious debate here, and I'm gonna kick things off with my personal choice. And this is because it was the one that disappointed me, not the one that I find the funniest. And that's Suicide Squad. Because at one point I did feel excited for that game, and it's already done. It's over. It's done. Goodbye.
Is this where I'm allowed to chime in and say that was also my pick?
Yeah, for sure.
Since you've already said it, and I don't need to do a double space for it, because this game doesn't deserve that too much discussion.
I mean, I just think it's a hilariously massive failure. That
hey
game
guys,
launched.
They were really committed to getting that fourth season out, but
yeah, it's done, right? Like they've announced
they announced that they're no longer making content for it, and that there'll
in
be
a year.
There will be a shutdown of servers in an offline mode only.
Embarrassing. So yeah, we'll start it off there. I'm interested to hear Ben and Mike's if.
Mine's definitely different than everyone else's.
All right,
So
let's
I'll
hear
let
it.
Ben
Let's
go
hear it.
first.
All right.
Wow, putting me on the spot because I had two games and I focused more on the end of the busted nature of things because in my mind, most of the hyped games of the year largely lived up to expectations, and that most of the games that ended up being controversial were a known factor, right? You could say something like Dragon Age, a new game in a a new game in the series in 10 years is super hyped. The hype for this is reaching critical levels, but it was always known that it was going to be contentious, that there was a large aura of skepticism around it. So that like kind of played out as it was. Black Myth, kind of a similar case in terms of super hyped. The hype train had been kind of going for forever, and for the most part, it lived up to a somewhat more tempered expectation of, this is a studio's first big, AAA game, was not completely fucking busted. Had some
Yeah.
underwhelming features and some limitations and all that.
Oops,
So
you just bumped into an invisible wall.
exactly. I did love at the Game Awards where the creator did make a joke at their own expense about thank God I didn't run into an invisible wall as I was coming up on the stage to accept our award for best action game. I appreciated that bit of kind of self-awareness, right? But so that the bottom didn't completely fall out on that. So for me, I kind of struggled, and honestly, I forgot about the hype for Suicide Squad, right? Because to me, that hype was so long ago that hype got completely cut away with every further update that we got on it ahead of release. That by the time it came out, it was what everybody expected at that moment. Like all that goodwill was evaporated. So didn't even occur to me. I get it. I get the nomination, but not for me.
That's fair.
So
I mean, we already have the majority here, so you can make your nomination, but I feel like the votes have already been cast.
I think you're right. But so I'm going to put my nomination at Stalker 2.
Okay.
Just with how utterly busted it was and still is coming out in a game that was delayed for so long and should have kept being delayed with its state, and like how much was relying upon its success for what it signified as a Ukrainian studio under siege, although they're technically in like the Czech Republic now or something. They're no longer located there.
I believe it's Czechoslovakia.
Yugoslavia.
There's actually I learned recently, but I, of course, have never internalized it, that there is another name for the Czech Republic that is technically official. And I heard someone was reading a text, somebody use it. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Or has the Soviet bloc returned and I haven't been informed? Please let me know. Yeah, I'm going Stalker 2. Like its major selling point was like this in-depth AI system for its world, and its the living, breathing world. It had a name that of course I should have looked up beforehand, but that just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like it's the dynamic world systems just don't work. And this was a pretty hyped game. This was a big release for Microsoft, and it's just, from most accounts, it was unplayable at launch. So much game-breaking shit going on there. I don't know. That for me is like the hype level of that one is higher, and it failed to deliver. Whereas my other one was going to be Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yes, I had that one as my list too, just because that's so funny to me.
And just like completely didn't fucking work. Like people couldn't boot it up, and I was trying to look at the technical issues behind it. It was like that there was something with like it was like trying to boot from like basically it was like you were streaming it or whatever, and it like just didn't work.
All I know is my work computer, I don't have like the notifications from the store disabled for some reason, and like every time I get one, I'm too lazy to figure out how to change it, and it's constantly trying to get me to download Microsoft Flight Simulator constantly.
Wow, I don't. It doesn't make sense. Like according to Microsoft themselves, it still doesn't work, and there's no timeline
Yeah,
for when
and my
it'll get
computer's
fixed.
from like 2010, so
Yeah, that would cook that thing.
Yeah,
No way.
it'll explode.
I mean, honestly,
no.
I should just do it and force.
I still give it to
force
Stalker
getting a
2.
new
I still give it to Stalker 2. But so, Mike, what about you?
Pal World.
Okay, explain. Explain.
Well, I mean, it was pretty busted at launch. It had issues, but like
Did it have the same level of issues as fucking Scarlet and Violet?
Yeah, I think it had larger issues than that. Like Scarlet and Violet was always playable for
Were
me.
you
Like I never
falling?
had issues.
Were you clipping through the ground?
No. Yeah, I clipped through some fucking like, mountains and shit. Yeah, it just like it didn't have I mean, I know it was beta, but like it didn't have, anything ready to go. I think just like the whole Microsoft, I mean not Microsoft, Nintendo, lawsuit saga towards the end of the year. They changed a bunch of features, you know, just for me. I mean, after listening to Ben's theory on like this category itself, I think it does fall into one of the like we knew it was gonna be due to. And we should have
But it
managed
sold what, like 8
expectations.
million copies in
Yeah.
like 2 weeks, and
Yeah,
people
because it's a
were
survival
loving it and
crafting
playing it.
game, and survival crafting game fans are fucking psychos.
Particularly
They buy
for
all of
early
those
access,
games.
and particularly for early access, they love being unpaid beta testers.
Pain pigs. They're pain pigs.
They love that shit. They love it so much. I don't understand it.
Hey, man, they like survival crafting games. That is nothing but a pain pig simulator.
I
Makes them
guess.
feel things.
It makes them feel like they're doing something real when they could just go outside and go camp.
Yeah, right. Why not actually test your survival skills?
Well, because they would die.
They say be a man.
Because they would die.
Be a man. Fight a bear. All right. Final vote. I mean, we already know the two are going to a Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
I'm not.
No one swayed my opinion.
No, I'm not going to give it to you guys. I'm still going to vote for Stalker because I think that
I'm gonna give it to them.
I think that's fine. I think Suicide Squad was a known quantity at the point that it released. So
It doesn't matter that it was a known quantity at the point that it released. The build-up beforehand was Rocksteady's making a new Arkham game.
and Rocksteady can't miss type of shit. Yeah, I get it. I get it,
guys.
That
They made
plus-
they made Gotham Knights before, and that wasn't Rocksteady. So Rocksteady's game is going to be better than.
It's
going
to
to
be better. Okay, there absolutely was that cope. That cope definitely existed.
It did. And I will say, while it was a note, like we knew it wasn't going to be good, I don't think anyone suspected they would be shutting it down within a year bad.
Yeah.
Like that was part of it for me as well.
That's fair.
Pretty sure they had some layoffs too, but
All right, so Suicide Squad. Ben, I appreciate your answer. I think it's a fair vote. But
he was doing the meme version of the guy waving his hands and pointing at the board really fast. And I was just a chill guy with my hands in my pockets, like you haven't.
Absolutely, I'll own that for sure. All right, chill guy. So, what is your unchill category?
So I walk out onto the carpet, hands in pockets, gray shirt on, jeans, lean in. All right, guys, I am here at this vaunted ceremony to give the award for what we here call a lean in game. And I want you to lean in and listen real quick. A lean in game is a game that has you tipping forward in your chair, gripping that controller a little extra tight. Maybe you're scooting forward a little bit to get closer to the TV or the monitor so you can make sure you're seeing it as best you can. Maybe that's just me because I'm blind as shit.
Gotta improve that reaction time somehow, man. You know, I'm getting older. I need every little thing I can get.
The lean-in games are the games that pull you in, the ones that give you the most heart-pounding action that you can have, the ones that have you sitting there, and that is why my first nomination is Doki Doki Literature Club.
Doki Doki Literature Club Plus?
No. My nomination for lean-in game, this is a tough one for me. I waffled on this one quite a bit, because the game I'm going to nominate also counts as a lean-back game for me, because I'm weird. And I feel like it still qualifies enough, so I'm going to put it here. This is where Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree falls for me as my lean-in game of the year.
I mean,
a game that I couldn't put down from launch. Played it pretty much consistently for 50 hours with no interruptions between PC and Steam Deck. A game that had me leaning forward on the couch, Steam Deck in hand, gripping tight. Some of the best boss fights in gaming.
How was it on the deck for you?
It played great. You see, you have to remember at this point in time, my computer was having crashing problems. So playing on the deck meant that I wasn't crashing.
Right. Right, that's right.
I
Yeah,
was
I mean,
getting like 45 frames.
and yeah, again, you being a based traditionalist who like everybody who whines about the 60 frame Bloodborne, you're just sitting there,
No, they're fucking
let you're
casuals. They're like, oh my god, if the game isn't 144 frames per second, I can't even. It makes me motion sick. It's like, all right, your two genes are too weak to play games. You need to go outside and see the world in a.
say the world does not operate at that many frames. You will get 24 and like it.
You can play Bloodborne if you can't sit there and play it on a PS4 Slim at 24 frames per second, inconsistent frame rate. I don't know. Like you don't belong here.
Skill issue.
You don't deserve to raise a chalice of platinum trophy for Bloodborne. You do not deserve to conquer the nightmare.
That's
But
why,
yes,
man,
Shadow
like,
of the Erd Tree, lean in game of the year, my nomination. I cede the floor.
I've got nothing else. That was, you said it for me. That that's what I got, boy.
Same.
That moment I walked through the fog and Mesmer serenaded me with his entrance speech.
I agree too. I got to be honest. Like I wanted
unanimous.
I wanted to give this to something else because enough said. But I can't give it to anything else. Just Elden Ring makes you want to just lean in and get in.
The mystery involved with any bit of FromSoft storytelling just wants you to like. So even from a narrative perspective,
Yeah, for sure.
It's pulling you in to just try to uncover any little clue that you can on what the fuck is going on. Who are these people? What are their relationships? Why am I killing them? Do I care? Your interest. The only bit of lean back for me is the introspection as I weigh the like my own actions and their morality. Yeah, I mean there are plenty of other action games that would fall under this category, I think, but I just don't think anything succeeds in that.
I had plenty of other choices that I could have put here, but I had them placed in other categories and wanted to make sure that this, because it's not technically a game, it's a DLC. Whatever. Fight me on the category claim here.
We don't have that distinction, I think, anywhere. Even in our kind of final serious question of game of the year type of thing, because in reality it's more for us is game experience, because that's the one we don't even limit it to new games. It's what was your best game experience that you had this year from any game, anything, right? It's open season, you can choose and put it wherever you want, but like for me, like there are some other options, but like just nothing hits like that. It's just, I think it's a singular achievement, and it's nothing's making you lean in like that. Nothing's burning out your retinas more than that Bandai Namco logo. So
we've been speaking a lot, but Mr. Michael Zaki is sitting in the wings and would like to come claim his awards. So.
All right, no room for debate there.
No,
that might be the only
right
one.
There.
That might be the only one.
I will take my bow from the carpet and walk off and allow the next award to be introduced.
As our presenter walks away from the camera. Lovely.
Well, I will filibuster. I will take my shoes off like Michael Zaki would desire.
I'm not next.
You are correct. That was an old version of this. My bad.
Thank you.
My bad. I am the next one.
I knew I wasn't next.
I'm the next one. Proceed, Michael. My apologies. Yes, I have our counterpart here, folks. Our lean back game. We did, I think, in previous years, mistakenly put these as like one combined category, and it's like, nah, let's separate them out. Let's give them each their due. So, as the lean in game, compels you to pull itself into the world. The lean back game is something that soothes you, something that lets you kind of sit back, take it all in, let it all flow over and through you, and just kind of go where the stream takes you. And it is they're similar experiences. We don't want to give the connotation that lean back is an idle game, is something that you are not paying attention to.
My nomination is Cookie Clicker.
Cat Quest 3, Little Kitty Big City. It would be a legitimate one, though, I would think. But I Let me pull up my list here. So yeah, lean back game is immersing you, but in a different way. It is giving you this different kind of feel. And for me, I had a couple choices here, but I'm gonna go with the one that I know is the only one that I played, and I think is a bit of a dark horse, requires a little bit of explanation. The game that I'm currently playing and will hopefully be finishing either tomorrow or the next couple days is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Actually, it's called Yakuza Infinite Wealth.
Say it is actually Ryageg. I don't even know how you pronounce it. Ryagyu Kotaku. I don't know. I forget. RGG is literally Like a Dragon, folks. I find all Yakuza games essentially just like movies for at least 50% of its playthrough, because there's, even whether we're talking about the original brawler mechanics or the new turn-based things, which in my opinion, yes, the turn-based combat does allow for more lean back, but I know that it is a lean back case for me because my couch is a sectional with a chaise. It's got a chaise sectional, and for my lean in action games, I got to be sitting on the actual couch thing. So again, so I can be leaning forward but still have some back support. But for a lean back game, I move my TV over and I go to the chaise bit, and I'm sprawled out, and I've got my controller, and I'm either watching some of the best crime drama stuff put to fiction, or I'm playing some excellent turn-based combat and some hilarious mini games. But it is just I wouldn't call it. It's not a cozy game by any means. It is just absolutely a kind of go with the flow type of thing. Whether you're going through the the procedural kind of dungeons that help you level up, you're grinding out levels, you're doing the silly side stories, mini games, or again watching basically movies worth of cutscenes, and just experiencing pure peak at any point in time. It's a lean back game for me, and it's a winner. So folks, who else we got for lean back?
All right. I think that's a great nomination. I respect it. I vibe with it. That makes sense, particularly with it's now like the turn-based combat, which lends itself to the lean back nature. But for me, I'm nominating, and this will be its only nomination from yours truly, Astrobot, because I think it is an immensely enjoyable game to play, but it is also mindless and requires nothing of you except hitting a couple buttons on the face of the controller, essentially. So you can lay down on your side.
Controller, casual. They're back.
Sir, have you completed the ultimate challenge level?
I have not.
I was absolutely on the edge of my seat during that one. I will say. You guys like to say because of our last video that I'm an Astrobot hater. No, sir. I'm an Astrobot enjoyer. I platinumed the game.
You're a platforming game hater, which means you have an inherent bias against
in general, yes, you are correct. But also, like, why it's like I totally get the reasoning, but for me, I was like maybe leaning more in because it's just I'm on the edge of my seat, just being like, oh fuck, I'm about to jump off this fucking ledge. Like,
Drew.
I have mistimed my inputs, and I'm about to end this attempt on this challenge level.
Andrew, you and I are now 2 for 2. Technically 3 for 3 because we were unanimous on the last one.
Yeah, we are
on agreement here that Astrobot is the lean back game of the year.
But when I'm hearing I am Astrobot, I am definitely leaning back and chilling and getting my vibe on. So
yeah. I get it. There's some sweaty moments.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
But they're entirely optional. That's another thing, is they're entirely optional.
I mean, I was leaned back the whole time because I'm one of the based platforming enjoyers here.
Yeah.
As someone with a history of Mario 64 speedrunning, nothing here pushed me that hard.
Well, I will say, Matt, you're putting yourself out there. You're going your credentials. I beat the challenge level in I think 40 minutes to your hour and something.
Ooh.
So I'm dusting my shoulders off.
I beat the game first.
Baby. It's because you played it first. I was playing something else.
Getting distracted by other games.
Mm.
I almost put Echoes of Wisdom here, but
that was my other pick, and I was thinking you might do that.
No, Astrobot gets its flowers. Lean back game of the year. Who doesn't love brushing off a GPU and then pushing it down into the console?
I did enjoy those moments. Those bits where you're like sawing off the little extra bits, those were fun. All right, Mike, what do you got? Explain,
banned.
please. Yeah, ban this man. Cut his mic.
Do we, do we have to does it need explaining?
I mean, none of us played it, so we know its concept. But
It's just a
tell
survive.
me why animal slavery is a lean back game to you.
Because
Not
I'm
just animal slavery. You could fucking capture people and
That was technically an exploit, I believe.
yeah, you could kill people though, but
Okay.
But I guess what's more lean back than animal slavery, right?
Yeah.
They're doing the work for you.
leaning back, and I'm doing God's work and being a steward of the animal kingdom, you know? And I have to feed them too, but
That's
I'm using them to
responsibility.
feed some other ones as well as, like, collecting berries and shit. Yeah, I would also just like to say, not related to the category, but not the game. I can officially, like, lean back for lean back games because I have a TV that's big enough now for the distance of my couch, so I could actually see the screen.
Mike was playing on the
And
Michael Scott 22-inch flat screen.
I had I mean, it might as well have been because it was 40 inches, but it was about, like, you know, 12 feet from where I sit.
Yeah, it's too
So,
far away.
yeah,
I'm blind,
it was too
folks.
far. And it
I
wasn't
definitely
4K.
I definitely sit way too close.
When did you
to my
upgrade?
TV.
I just got, like, it's not, like, anything special. It was, like, a $200 Best Buy 55-inch.
Oh, nice.
Hey, you can get a Roku 4K TV for not that much.
Yeah, this is 4K,
Not the
55,
best 4K thing, only 60 hertz or whatever. But not bad.
whatever. Yeah. Much better than my, 1080p.
Yeah, no, they're
fucking
nice. They're
40
nice
inch.
budget. They're nice budget TVs.
Yeah.
Nothing
So that's
wrong with
essentially what I got. But yes, Power World, animal slavery.
it. All right, I get it. All right, votes here, man.
My vote hasn't been swayed.
I know. I love Infinite Wealth. It is such a layback, or lean back game for me. Like I am literally, as I'm playing, I'm literally sprawled out with the controller above my head, just on the pillow, just playing like that. But yeah, I'll give it to Astrobot. I'll do it. I'll be swayed here.
The demon's on my shoulder just because I do think it's funny to think of yourself as just like an animal slave owner who's drinking his sweet tea on the porch while
It is pretty funny.
But
It is. Pretty
I'm not
funny.
gonna change my vote. Compelling, sir. Compelling.
Yeah, you sticking with your guns though, Mike?
Yes. This
Keeping
one I
Power
will.
World. All right, fair enough. But so Astrobot wins. No sweep for you, sir.
Doesn't need to be a sweep, just needs to win.
Yeah,
A win by 1 point is still a win nonetheless.
indeed.
No pictures on the scorecard.
So our next presenter walks on stage. With him is Bill Clinton in a gimp suit.
Is he your
In a leaf.
neo-orthodox rabbi in a gimp suit?
No, it's just Bill. I couldn't get the rabbi. His price was too high for the appearance. We just couldn't. Our budget was tight. Bill does it for free because
He does it. He does it for the love of the game.
Yeah, exactly. So he's not allowed to talk though.
Of course.
But the next category is a one-handed gaming category. And now you might say, like, oh, is this while you're taking a shit? You got one hand. No, it is what is the horniest category? And I'm going to give you some suspense because I need to answer the door because it's buzzing. And, we'll leave you there with the horniness.
All right. Who wants? Well, he goes and
Listen. We all know what the 3 remaining voters here are going to submit to the nominations.
well, so you'd be surprised.
Okay.
See, like, it's only because I know what everybody else is going to pick, and I know it's going to win, and it's going to get my vote. It is going to
Fair
get my
enough.
vote, but I do have another nomination.
All right. That's fair. Go ahead. I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, my nomination, even though I know I'm not going to vote for it, is Unicorn Overlord as horniest game of the year because there are some buxom elven women with scantily clad gigantic women swinging huge broadswords, giving me sultry looks and vying for my ultimate love and affection. dude, Vanillaware remains goated with their art style. But just like do me a favor, if you want to do it now or on your own time, just like look up Unicorn Overlord elf characters. There are a couple. But yeah, they're
Oh, yeah.
cooking. They're
Oh, yeah.
they're cooking over there.
Yep. That's a good one.
So that is my pick for the art style alone. Great game, by the way. Totally undersung and should be played by more people.
So for mine, yeah,
Let's hear it.
Ben's just putting it in. I mean, I didn't want to kick it off because I haven't played the game, but
You
I
don't
mean,
have to. You don't have to. They're
yeah,
nominated for this one.
yeah, it's Stellar Blade.
Like who are we kidding here? And it's like, yeah, I nominate Unicorn Overlord, giving it its flowers, but you know, it's a
When you create the term jiggle physics because of your game, you have
first things
achieved
first,
something.
This game did not create the term jiggle physics. Jiggle physics has existed for
Okay,
a long
fine.
time.
When it becomes part of the zeitgeist, then
You could say it
because
was
of
part of the
your game.
marketing.
yeah. When that is a significant feature of your game, not just an added bonus.
Yeah.
I'll show you an added bonus. But yeah, no, it's a Stellar Blade sweep here. Eve takes this one hands down, hand down.
All right. First things first. This isn't the only attractive lady in Stellar Blade.
Oh, there are a bunch for sure.
Definitely not.
But please before I have to send you to jail, specify who you're referring to as the other one, or as other
I'm
examples.
obviously referring to Raven.
Okay, you like Raven.
Yeah.
I like Tacky.
Yeah.
I like
nice.
actually
Lily has
really,
tomboy energy.
I said that was gonna say you're about to go to jail for that one, sir. She's a minor. Gun pointed at the camera.
The actual minor is Kaya.
For me, it's I don't even remember the NPC name, but the singer in the bar.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, there are a bunch, but yeah, like it's the Eve show.
Adam.
Say Adam, the real Chad. Yeah. We're
When I opened into that final boss room and Adam was standing there shirtless with the wings, I was just sitting there, I was like, whew, oh boy. I mean,
no, he's hot. That was me for the final boss for Metaphor. Because again, also shirtless. Just
Hell yeah.
No, he's hot. Just rippling abs, just in the doing a.
I mean, you're a monster if you don't take Adam's hand at the end.
That it's a no-brainer.
I'm gonna say it. I think Eve might be like characters.
I mean, you haven't seen anything.
I think that's what they were going for.
Eve in the A2 hair, wearing the 2B.
I've looked it up, buddy. I've looked it up.
Yeah, you're acting like you're speaking to amateurs here.
I didn't buy it, but I've looked it up.
There was some really funny moments where people were posting Eve in the Nier outfits onto the Nier sub, and people were like, "What mod is this? Why are her boobs so big?"
Dude, we love Yoko Taro. Just people are be like, "No, you can't sexualize my character," and he's just like,
Yoko Taro's like, "Yeah, I greenlit
nice
3 full episodes of porn in the Nier anime, and they wouldn't let it air on TV."
It's like nice 2B cosplay. Please send more. The man is goated for sure. But Stellar Blade, in my opinion, is a effective transition then into our next category. Andrew, you are presenting for us here.
Do you like to get mad about video game stupidity? Is your favorite thing paying for the parts of games that should be included at launch? Then we have a category for you. Are you a culture war super soldier? Are you fighting in the mines against the ugly women trend in video gaming? Do you like the real good games, or are you woke? This is the most grifted game of 2024. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't go super culture war with it because there are just like 2 stories in particular that I've thought about several times throughout the year. One, and they're both related to my nomination, which might be a little bit different and I'm okay if I get chided by the nomination team, but it's going to be by the committee.
We might revoke your credentials.
You may, but I'm nominating Blizzard has just the most grifted studio. And it's for two things. One, they released a $90 mount for World of Warcraft this year, and that thing sold out. That is the most ridiculous grift to pull off I have ever heard of. And two, Diablo 4, they announced that in 12 months made over $150 million from microtransactions alone. They have got you sickos by the balls, and you are lapping it up. And for that reason, I nominate Blizzard. They are the best grifters out there outside of mobile gaming, but I don't count.
Yeah, see, my intention for the category was less about the game itself and more about
The culture. Yeah, I know.
The
I
commentators around it who are grifting on the game itself.
That's fair.
But I see your points, and I tip my hat to you. I think it's a fair points to make. I do want to read the new Jason Schreier book about Blizzard going. Is it out? It's out, I think, right?
Yeah, it's out.
Yeah. To really kind of dive more into what the fuck's going on with Blizzard. There's a whole lot to unpack there, particularly now as being owned by Microsoft, right? That adds a whole layer of complexity to what type of fuckery they'll get up to because of the financial expectations that are kind of levied against them now. I get it. Anybody wants to go next? Who's next? What's the most grifted?
I will nominate a game whose culture war grift expands beyond it's multi-level. It breaks through the multiverse. There's so many different layers to the culture war. I'm going to nominate Black Myth Wukong. And I'm going to start by discussing the original part of the culture war. The, oh my god, they only hired men to work in this studio part of the culture war fight. Which, split two factions. The, how could you do this? That's sexist. And the, oh my god, so based. And then the secondary part of the culture war. When it came out and it was like, wow, this is a pretty good game for your first go, but it's not mind-blowing and it doesn't change my life. And then every Chinese bot on Steam was like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing that has ever happened, and if you don't like it, you deserve to kill yourself. And then the third part of the culture war, when it did not win Game of the Year, and the developer went on a full-on temper tantrum tirade regarding...
He had a bit of a meltdown.
A little bit.
And it's one of those things like, hey man, it's cool you wrote a Game of the Year acceptance speech 2 years ago. That's fine. Some people got to do that to motivate themselves. You don't air that dirty laundry out when you don't win.
Somebody like posted like you couldn't waterboard that information out of me.
You don't sit there and denigrate every other part of the show just because you didn't win. You accept the fact that you won Best Action Game. It's your first go. You made an 82 Metacritic game that sold like 70 million copies in China.
Your first game ever got nominated for, it's like from Tropic Thunder. It would have been nice just to be nominated. It's an honor just to be nominated.
I mean, there's a little interesting fun fact there where it was the lowest Metacritic score ever nominated for Game of the Year, and it was also the biggest disparity between the highest Metacritic score and lowest Metacritic score in a given year nomination. My nomination is Black Myth Wukong.
I'm joining that bandwagon. Because that was my pick as well.
All right.
The Chinese bots in particular really
I did like the whole I did like there it was an interesting confluence of things, right? Because you had people coming from both ends. We've talked about it in the one bit where people were like, it didn't actually perform that well. Look at the disparity of who's buying this game, and how it's like 90% of it's coming from China. And it's just like, what? And those aren't real people? And you're like,
if they play Genshin Impact 2, they're not real people. So
they're discounted. They're discounted just because it's your Chinese rule as a term that Andrew has coined in previous episodes that I've been.
We have a 3/5 rule for them.
Yeah, I've been.
We can't know how many of those copies were bought by the PRC. Okay.
Right. You never know.
All I'm saying is if they bought the game and they've also bought and played Genshin Impact's Endless Zone Zero Wuthering Waves, they don't count.
It cancels out. They cancel each other out. I don't know. I think you guys might end up outvoting me, but I think I have to give this one to Stellar Blade as well. And I think it's because of the impact it had. It was the starting point of this kind of culture shift that we're seeing in gaming now. That this is the the game. This was the game that the the reactionary grifters were latching onto, and that like created what they are trying to spin as Gamergate 2. Started with Stellar Blade. That I don't think we would have had the reactions to Black Myth, that we would have had the reactions to Dragon Age, the Veilguard, which was another obvious pick. I don't think we would have had those without the audience that was created, the animus that was stirred up from Stellar Blade. I want to make clear that we joke about this category, right? But it is a serious issue, and the fact that like right-wing reactionaries have latched themselves onto these particular games, whether positive or negative, as exemplars of game go woke, go broke, or game does says fuck you to women and is therefore good, or like all that shit. It's like has sexy woman and is therefore the best thing to ever exist. Just because that they've latched onto it, like, doesn't actually speak to the quality of the game. And if a game, say, wins here, we're not saying that game is, in and of itself reactionary just because these people have been, establishing this whole grift off of it. But it's like, we wouldn't be seeing Grums on the fucking timeline to the extent that we would if it wasn't for Stellar Blade, which he hasn't. I forget which one he hasn't played. There was a Brit there. I think it was Black Myth, not Stellar Blade, but like, he'd been posting about it for months, and then within the last couple of weeks, someone was like, "You should really try it out," or whatever, and he's like, "It's on my list," and it's like, "What the fuck have you been doing here, man?"
Yes, I remember that.
I still think it needs to go to Stellar Blade as the one that started the new trend. You gotta respect your elders. Is my argument for Stellar Blade, because they're also, you had the constant goalpost shifting, right? You're like, oh, this game is based in anti-DEI because it's got a sexy woman in it, but then also it's bad and you shouldn't buy it because they censored an outfit.
Yeah.
Based off of their own artistic integrity, that they felt like, oh, we think it's like, here, we actually think this outfit is hotter, like, so I want to add this little bit of instead, so there's so much read into that shit that I think Stellar Blade should take it.
I am gonna give my vote to Stellar Blade because I do agree with you that it is the kind of creator of where
it's patient zero.
Yeah, it is. It is patient. It is patient zero of all that conversation. And also, women made that game. So
I'm gonna bandwagon again.
I did love that bit where they're like, yeah, this there's the other side of it with Stellar Blade, right? They're like, oh, you're over-sexualizing this character, a character designed for the male gaze. And it's like, yeah, kinda, but also it's like, it's clear. I remember this one tweet. It's clear that the designer of Eve's character model has never seen a real woman, and it's a woman who designed her.
I mean, it wasn't just
like,
a woman that was the designer. It also had an actual person that was used for the character model.
Right, yeah, as a
Korean model.
A Korean model with highly exaggerated proportions. No, but like the actual character design.
But less exaggerated than you'd think, to be honest, because I was kind of like, oh, okay.
I was unfamiliar with your game, madam. All right, so we've got 3 so far. Matt, have I swayed you?
No, I'm gonna keep it on Black Myth just because I think the only sweep that's deserved here is Shadow of the Erd Tree. And I still think that the grift of Wukong was so multifaceted and multi-tiered.
It's definitely had more longevity.
Mm-hmm.
I'll grant you that one. But like, for me, I feel
because
like
the sexism of the studio was like 2 years ago when that came to light.
Right.
And then there was a whole fight of like, well, it's Chinese culture, so you can't get mad at them.
But there's also
but people get mad at Japan for the Japanese culture when they're like, oh, no women in the office, and if you're pregnant, you lose your job, and if you leave before your boss, you lose your job.
Yeah, but there's confusion there. Like, were those reports mistranslations, or were they?
It's very curious how whenever there's something bad about that game, it's always a mistranslation.
Fair, totally fair. But that's the nature of things, particularly coming out of China, right? Is that it's propaganda one way or the other. It's the real rub is learning whose propaganda is it. Is it the Chinese Communist Party, or is it the fucking State Department, right? It's like, that's where you really gotta can't forget Fuck. Yeah. All right. So Stellar Blade takes 2 in a row. Might be our only multiple award winner for the night.
We'll see about that.
It may fall into other categories, but as the other game, I've got it.
While Andrew's trying to walk off the stage, I sprint on at full speed and tackle him. Because this next trophy is about anger and fight and power. This is called the Dictatorship of the Proletariat, and we're here to talk about the best boss fight in gaming this year. And I wanted to make sure he felt all of that pain, all of that struggle, all of that suffering. I wanted to make sure you felt that stagger as we pushed you through your stamina bar.
Folks, rise up and kill your boss. In the game.
In game.
So this is an interesting one. I waffled back and forth multiple times. I had 2 bosses that I thought qualified for this category more than anything else for this year. And I wrote them both on the sheet because I just couldn't, make a final choice at the moment, and figured I would just stand up here and waffle and dictate until one finally just came out of my mouth. And then, once we make a choice, I'll, if the other one doesn't get brought up, I'll do a honorable mention because I feel like it deserves to get discussed regardless. Mine goes to Mesmer the Impaler.
Let's go, my boy. The best boss in that game, hands down. I beat him with my bare fucking fists. I felt elated. The game should have ended there.
Matt, did you find my answers somehow? Because I too.
Yeah, if you haven't noticed, late at night, I've been climbing up your building and then letting myself in through the door on the balcony.
Perfect.
Or crawling through the window
is
that
always
opens
unlocked.
just barely. That's good to know. I'm going to start Spider-Manning my way up 72 floors. Mesmer the Impaler, probably the strongest fight in that game from a difficulty, lore, and enjoyment standpoint. Because obviously pre-nerf Prime Consort Radahn was its own fucking thing.
Bullshit.
Bullshit is not the right term. You beat it, sir.
Bullshit. I did beat it, but I had to use my summon, and it made me feel like less of a man. I know that's toxic. I know that's not right, but it's still it worked.
Meanwhile, I used the jump hack to make him not fuck me up, and I'm like, wee.
Dude, I was so mad. I was so mad when you did that.
I didn't think it would work.
I was so mad.
Each of us had our own methodology about it. I went about with he's Radahn, so he's weak to rot, so I'm going to rot him. And then I'm going to use the stupid overpowered thorn incantation to just destroy his health bar.
Yeah. I used the big blood arm and fucked him up.
No, Mesmer the Impaler, his opening speech, thou art tarnished. It's almost mournful. He's like, he doesn't want to kill you because, you don't serve that purpose, but you step in his way and, that's his crusade.
So I was going to have a different choice because I forgot about Mesmer, and I'm going to have to go with Mesmer. But I will mention my other choice was a DLC boss as well. It was Leviathan from Final Fantasy 16.
I didn't know you played that one.
I haven't. I need to go. I didn't want to buy it and go play it.
Yeah.
I deleted it from my hard drive. I feel like I should though. Now.
Matt, did you play that one?
Yeah, he played them both. I thought Matt was the only one who played them.
I'm gonna shout out my other one, which is also from Airtree, and that's Bale. And it's because it was just so memeable.
Bale!
Just a very memeable fight. It's fun. Got a lot of enjoyment out of that, and the internet did as well for a couple weeks.
I want to. I will add, even though Mesmer was at the top of my list, I did have another pick as well that I'll add, and I'm pretty sure Matt will be the only one who can confirm this with me or not, and you'll tell me if you think that it counts or not. So I count the whole Gilgamesh Island gauntlet. So from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So not just Gilgamesh himself, but the whole gauntlet that it takes to get there. And I'm not including the early game pieces that
you're
the proto
purely counting
on the island.
Duo summon fights.
The duo summon fights culminating with the fight against Gilgamesh was like,
it was probably the most tactical part of the game that you had to do.
Right. It was definitely the most challenging part. Like,
You see, the interesting
Odin
part
and
there is
Alexander
nothing
was
from
really fucking
Rebirth made
hard.
my honorable mention list. My
Surprising.
honorable mention was Raven from Stellar Blade.
I had Tacky as my third bit.
You see, I waffled on Tacky versus Raven. I felt that Raven was the harder fight that also felt way more fucking anime if you got it right.
No doubt that Raven is the harder fight. No question.
Because after I did my New Game Plus fight with her, where she adds some new wrinkles to her moveset, and she does a blue flash teleport behind you move, and it's just like, wait a second, that's my thing.
Yeah,
or she does a pink flash kick off you and stun you attack, and you're like, wait a second, that was my thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I put the whole Gilgamesh Island gauntlet as a standout one, but
it's a Mesmer.
It is, and I think it's because, like, yes, the Gilgamesh Island gauntlet gave me the highest, feeling of satisfaction from Rebirth. It doesn't compare to Mesmer because at points that gauntlet felt a bit like a slog, and because they essentially are repeats of fights you've already done that, of course, are more difficult now because you're fighting two at once, added more, tactical challenge. But Mesmer almost, I think, more than my victory to Melania without summons, felt the best. They were about on par, but felt the best in terms of achievement.
All right, you might have done it without summons, but please tell me you summoned Hornson, at least at the very end, so that you could hear his anguished scream after the fight.
I did not summon any of the NPCs for any of the fights. I watched them all on YouTube.
Okay. The Hornson scream at the end will haunt your nightmares.
I think I did summon Egon once to hear his monologue myself, but then let myself die. But no, I was in Mesmer's fucking face with spiky fists the whole time and fucked him up with those bad boys. But I was hit a wall for a bit of time. I was stuck on that for about 2-3 hours.
I think I was still dual wielding Raylana's twin blades at that point.
Yeah. So I that was just that just felt so good to beat it, and to beat it like that was awesome. So yeah, I think Mesmer gets the sweep here.
We also love a boss who succumbs to darkness in his transition phase.
Yeah, that fucking snake can eat my ass though.
Snake transition's sick.
It's cool as hell. It's metal
It's so
as fuck.
fucking sick. It's so sick. Honestly, that itself is why he was my pick. I immediately read this word and I was like, it's Mesmer. Snake transition, Mesmer.
I really do think the DLC should have ended there.
I don't entirely disagree. There's stuff I like after that.
Yeah, but they could have built it up and done more and stretch it out to get to him later on.
You just didn't like running through Enir Ilum and getting bombarded by Spyra incantations or grave birds or
God, that one grave bird. Fuck.
Or 17 different horned warriors.
I didn't love that. Yeah, dude, fuck the Horn Warriors. So much worse than any Crucible Knight. I'll take a Crucible Knight double team any day. Pause. Yeah, dude. Show me the aspect of your Crucible. Yeah, dude. Fuck.
Aspect of the Crucible tail.
Yeah. Fuck the Horn Warriors. Okay, so next category. Moving right along. This is a new one for us, and we're calling it Full 360. The most video game ass video game, and the 360 obviously referencing the Xbox 360 era. Basically, think of what's your best game of the year of just guys being dudes. That's basically what we got here. And as I was thinking about it, this might end up being another sweep. I don't know that we've got
doubtful
any major.
I'm pretty positive I'm gonna buck the trend here.
Okay, I would assume you're correct at that if you're that confident, because I think the pick is obvious as Space Marine 2, just you and two buddies. The simple fact that you can put the Chad face TikTok filter on them and their character models don't change at all just is proof enough that these are just some good old guys being dudes doing some.
Or it's proof that they're so grotesque that they do not register as humans.
Totally, I agree. I'm gonna just immediately throw out that I'm in agreement with you. There's nothing immediate winner for me with Space.
I'm gonna buck the trend.
All right.
Before Matt can. Helldivers 2.
I think that's a fair pick. I
Yes.
really do.
We just split the vote.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, so we need a defector.
I think
though.
Helldivers 2 provides more fun with your friends and had a bigger zeitgeist when it launched than 40K Space Marine did.
It was like Halo to me. Like that
Okay.
that it reminded me the most of Halo, and that's what an Xbox, like that's the most game-ass game.
I see what you're saying. It's very much the come home from school, pop open a Mountain Dew, hop on Xbox Live with your
Have
friends,
some Totino's pizza rolls.
And you might
call
share
some
current
random
negative
person a
feelings about
slur.
Helldivers because it went on for too long. But if I recall correctly, you were playing a lot of Helldivers when it came out.
I was playing a lot of Helldivers, and I want to go back and play the new thing. But yeah, no, I just for a while, I got burnt out on the shooting formula, and not enough was changing. But it's been a while now that, yeah, I'd be excited to go back into it and to see. Yeah, I still think that there are some flaws to its end game design in terms of incentivizing continued playthrough once. Because basically, my interest kind of fell off when I had unlocked all the stratagems. Right? It's like, what else am I playing for? The only thing I can do is spend money, real money, on weapons that are the primary weapons, which don't do much in terms of changing your play style. Really, it's just fun, little flavor of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do the meme fire only build. Yeah, sure, but like. It was just like, yeah, okay, I've seen it all. I've played with these things.
I think it had a stronger and longer hold on zeitgeist than 40K Space Marine did. I think you were a little insulated in the bubble of being a 40K fan, so you saw a bigger push through that. I saw people who weren't into video games playing Helldivers 2.
Yeah,
and I don't think 40K Space Marine had nearly the same effect.
No, what's more compelling to me in terms of its category, in terms of this category, is what Mike is saying about the hopping on with your boys. Yes, that was why I was thinking of Space Marine as a appropriate choice because of the co-op element of it. But it was just, for me, it was more of like the style of third-person shooting combat was what really kind of screamed that era to me. It's because I was never a huge multiplayer game fan, but I do think that like that is definitely emblematic of that era, right? That's kind of like really the nadir of that kind of type of gaming is that 360 era, playing Halo with your buddies while you're getting called slurs by a 12-year-old. So like
at this time we were calling slurs to the bugs.
Yes,
and the robots.
Yeah, so I think you've convinced me. I think you've convinced me that I can move my vote there. I get it. I am Frank Reynolds. I get it now.
I agree. I mean, honestly, Helldivers was my personal runner-up here. I just think the Space Marine combat kind of just felt like it has a Gears of War feel to it, which is evocative of that kind of same time frame for me. Right. But I totally am cool with just giving this one to Helldivers. I think Helldivers deserves some recognition for what they've done. It's a different game than a lot of people have made.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. And I'm glad that we went with something that wasn't as obvious to me. By no means do I think that Space Marine was a more popular game. To Matt's concern, I don't think that's the case. I do totally am aware of the sheer virality of Helldivers was like unprecedented to me, particularly in this year. There's nothing that comes close. But what actually is compelling, is that the whole vibe of getting online with your boys during
which we definitely did.
Yeah, it's nostalgic in that kind of feeling. Yeah. I get it. All right, I'm happy with that, but no sweep then. If Andrew's sticking with Space Marine.
No, I said I'm down to give it.
I thought you were okay.
No, okay. I want to give Helldiver in that studio some flowers here because cool. I also love that they made a game that is a live service that isn't monetizing the fuck out of you to play it. Like that is also something I think is commendable about that game.
Did you see that bit recently where like there was a collaboration that they were doing with, I'm blanking of course on what Killzone, yes, thank you. And they had separated it from the normal War Bond thing and were selling it for their own premium microtransactions. And people were like, this sucks. I don't want this. And they're like, okay, sorry, here, you can have it for free.
Cool. Good. They keep just doing it. At least they, when they fuck up, they're willing to listen.
Right.
All right. So now that we've hell dived off the stage, and yeah, we're talking about playing games with the boys. It's kind of like family. You know what else is like family? And we hate to break up the family. So
It's my least favorite thing to do.
yeah, you can't bring a third party into the family. Blood is thicker than water. We got a nice thing going, and it's time for a pizza party. To show how much we care about you. So our next category is pizza party time. And we're not talking good New Haven style pizza. We're talking
I was speaking of which, I was in New Haven last month helping, clear out my grandparents' house now that they've moved. And we had to make a stop at Modern on the way.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was fucking amazing. It was so good.
It's the best.
Hell yeah.
It was delicious.
No, but this is Domino's, and this isn't even pan pizza Domino's. Might even be Pizza Hut, for all we know.
No, dude, it's Papa John's. Who are you kidding? Yes, stay on brand.
You know what? I'll take Little Caesars over that.
Dude, Little Caesars is for the working man.
Hell yeah.
Papa John's is not.
But yeah, so I guess I'll kick it off. And
Well, explain a little bit first. Yeah, Arcat. What is for those who don't have the Google sheet in front of them?
Yeah.
What does Pizza Party Time stand for us here?
So it's our most significant, staff layoffs, studio closures, just
general
layoffs.
anti-union activity.
Yeah.
Yep.
All that anti-work. Who was the most anti-worker?
Hell yeah.
Yep. And so mine is a bit of a saga. So we have Tango Gameworks. So they have some closure, but they have some good news in the end. And we see when you break up the family because you're worried about third parties coming in, sometimes the family could come back. And start something anew. So I picked Tango Gameworks.
I'm gonna go with Netflix. Really disappointing. Great studio. A lot of strong work from those individuals, and they fired them all. So that's disappointing. I wanted to see more mobile games while I was watching.
Well, no, that's the whole point, right? Is that they fired the AAA people.
You're right. It was just the AAA people.
They're still doing the mobile.
They're still doing the mobile games. Perfect. Even better.
Why not?
Right. I had forgotten about that part.
Microtransactions, baby.
Who doesn't want to open their Netflix app to play games there?
Fucking Doodle
Have
Jump.
you play Doodle Jump through a Netflix hub? We love it.
I'm gonna reverse the accusation here and assume that you stole my picks.
Was yours really? Were you really gonna? Which one were you going for?
I had Netflix in there.
Really? I'm honestly surprised. So tell me why you guys think that one's the most significant.
Because they didn't release anything and they got fired.
Okay.
I just think the whole process was very funny. I will say, I am ultimately going to vote for Tango. I think that is...
Well, hold off. I've yet to give mine here.
Okay, fair. I'll let you make your case.
I think I've got a compelling argument.
I did misspeak before you got to vocalize. So
don't jump the gun.
Floor is yours.
Well, no, I still want your guys. If you had anything more to say on Netflix specifically.
I mean, my entire viewpoint of it was that Netflix pivoted really hard to try to open up this gaming system as part of their Netflix subscription peel. Just like Amazon did a few years ago with their, whatever it was called, Amazon Luna, I think.
I mean, they still have their own studio. And they're still putting out some stuff, but it's different. Luna is different.
Well, they still have their open
New World,
and their MMO, right?
Yeah, New World is still going. Amazon Game Studios is still a thing.
But my view was simply that Netflix went so hard on this, and it was like watching a company who was kind of scrambling. They did their like, all right, everyone, you got to have your own subscription. Stop sharing. All right, everyone, we're raising the price. All right, everyone, we're doing gaming now, like Game Pass. Like watching them just go fucking ape shit, trying to find a new thing that was going to stick for them to try to keep the line moving forward. and then to just see the announcement that they were just getting rid of the studio who released nothing.
While like with having hired a significant amount of well-renowned people within the industry.
Yeah. So this one is that was the big thing. Yeah, is they had some heavy hitters.
They had heavy hitters. They had hired some heavy hitters that never did anything. And I think when we covered it, it was like all but one of them had left like within the last 6 months and were actually fired.
They've all gone and have found new work. Like they're not have impacted at all. It's the actual team. But Matt, I'm surprised at you. No Arcane Austin.
That was on my list as well.
No Arcane Austin on your list? That's not my pick, by the way, but like that one is there.
I considered it. Once you're bought by Microsoft, it's just kind of inevitable that you're going to lose half your workers.
Right. I also had, this one is, it was, a little bit more, I doubted anybody would pick this, but like Humble Games was another one to shout out. Their whole fucking distribution and publishing team ethered. But mine is, and it ties into our next game, or no, it's couple categories from now, but is Firewalk Studios, the Concord people, just getting absolutely old yellered after putting out their game for 10 days, burning $400 million of Sony's money. Like the sheer audacity of them believing that they had the next Star Wars level IP on their hands, to not even, to then just put out a fucking bland, generic hero shooter that gets canned in less than 2 weeks and results in the studio folding. A studio closed behind the biggest gaming flop of all fucking time. It's like, how does that not compute? To me, it's like, how can you not be like, that's just so overwhelming. Whether you talk about deserved or not, right? It's just like, what does that studio's output and the impact on them, what does that say about the current state of Sony in their live service push and just the gaming industry in general, that they are so fucking out of touch, that they are willing to spend and waste and burn that much fucking money and time? A game that was in some sort of development for 8 fucking years. And again, these were pretty big name people, like former like Destiny, like these were like FPS experts, right? And they go and they just fucking do this. My God, I watched the Concord episode of Secret Level this afternoon. Oh boy.
You see, I just so little care about any of, like, the Concord stuff gets mentioned so much by people still, and I just don't give a shit at all.
But just like the sheer hubris that was involved in that project to then have all the people who worked on it for that long just get absolutely vaporized.
Yeah,
is just
that's how it should work. If you fail, you should lose your job, right?
But the executives should, and
they all did.
Did fucking Herman Holst, the one who greenlit this fucking thing, who it was his baby, who signed the checks for the extra $200 million?
Yeah.
They said, did he lose his job?
It's not like he didn't see.
Herman Holst is the head of Sony. He's the head of PlayStation. What are you talking about? I'm taking crazy pills.
I just don't care. It's one of those where people meme it so much.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. But like, it's that level of apathy is what is so damning to me, right?
Yeah,
no one
the
should
thing is, you're
care
getting
about
all worked
Concord.
up and freaking out, and Marvel Rivals is out here breaking records again as another free-to-play fucking game as a service live service game. People fucking eat this shit up. That's why the companies throw the shit at the wall, hoping one of them works.
Yeah, but no, just like, but the studio just getting absolutely vaporized, and nobody but the workers facing the consequences for this. Because it's not like the development team has a say on what the studio is working on, right? That's executives and creative leads. They're the ones who are responsible. And yeah, a lot of the higher ups, the studio's gone. They lost their jobs too, but they will more easily, fail upwards into their next job, right? Whereas think about the still talent that was there that was going to get lost if, people are moved out of the industry.
So Ben, I think you make a very strong argument for Concord. The one thing I would say for why I lean towards like voting for Tango is because I think it's so much more damning against Microsoft to do what they did to Tango when it had been so
For such a good game.
right for something that was so well received. Like, I think that's the part that makes me feel worse and like more bad about the state of the industry than Concord, is that like a game that they purposefully kind of released quietly, they didn't market well, and then when it had even like still a good amount of commercial success and a lot of critical success, they still end up closing down that studio, 12 months later. I think that is a more disappointing result for me personally, and that's why I would ultimately give my vote.
I almost don't think
Tango.
it counts because they didn't really close the studio down. They were going to close it down and then they sold it.
I mean, they still like lost a significant amount of headcount. They went from like 200
Yeah,
people
they
to
did.
50.
Yeah, they did. There was enough time in between where it actually was shut down, and it was not really sold. It was revived.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a semantic difference there that did have impact on say who was actually getting, so yeah, that studio is now very different than what it was. And so yeah, I see your point. And it's more of like the shaming the industry for letting Tango close versus I guess it's still shame either way, but it's like the irresponsibility on two levels. For Tango, it's not fostering and supporting a talented team who's putting out good quality work, and just the audacity to do what Firewalk did with that level of uncritical support from the top down for Firewalk. It's like they're kind of like they're at the polar ends for me. I'm not really articulating it well, but I see what you mean, and I get it. But just again, for me, it's just like as an indictment of the industry, I still got to give my vote to Firewalk, just because it's just like that. To me, that's just a just so much more of a shit show.
Totally.
It's like as Matt was kind of saying about like Microsoft, you kind of expect that, right? It's just
Yeah. That's fair. I totally get, like, I think you have a valid piece here, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with Tango.
To me, I don't think Netflix counts, because to me it was like I didn't expect anything from them either. It's like
I just thought it was funny that they never actually made anything.
Yeah, that is funny. All right, so I'm voting for Firewalk. We've got one so far for Tango. What about you two?
I'm going Tango. Takes two to tango,
All right,
as
Matt,
they say.
where are you
I'm
going?
just going to keep the vote super split, and I'm just going to keep sticking with Netflix because I
Keep
don't
with
feel like
Netflix?
anyone has compelled me to get off of my meme vote.
That's fair.
He's got diamond hands.
Totally.
I'm ultimately okay with it. I just think that you can't, as much as we should forget about Concord as a property, we can't forget about what it fucking stands for, right? And like just the sheer kind of just out of touch nature of video game executives. That's just it. That's the final bit for me. Okay, next. Let's keep them going. We've got only a couple more left.
All right.
Let's see if we can manage to do an under 2 hour final year episode.
Please.
Challenge,
So,
maybe possible.
maybe. This award is for when you get that brand new game, it's finally downloaded, or you're taking off that plastic wrap, you've thrown it in the disk drive, you start it up, you're in the prologue, you're playing through, and suddenly you look down.
Immersion, because you said you put a disc in the disc drive, and that's just
So
not how you purchase
We
games
know
today.
that's not how you do it, man.
I said, hey, it's been downloaded. I said that. So either way, you boot it up, and the next thing you know, it's been 3 days. You've not responded to your favorite OnlyFans model in at least 24 hours, and that relationship is now over, and your life
That relationship
is ended.
never existed in the first place. That was all delirium in your head.
This
But
is
if they stopped the daily $200, dollars that they're paying to the OnlyFans person, they may get worried and they may call in the cops.
They may do a wellness check on
wellness
you.
check. So this is
He hasn't sent his daily cum tribute. I'm worried about him. Is he drinking enough water?
So this is the No Lifer. It's the game that demanded the most of your time. What made you forget about your responsibilities, not feeding your children or letting your wife give herself her own orgasm? What kept you from your important things? For me, it's won a lot today, which I'm not terribly surprised by. And it was the game I played the most this year, Shadow of the Erdtree. It kept me most engaged through start to finish. of anything I played in 2024 that came out in 2024. So that's my nomination. I think you
Bed shakes
all can
per hour
understand
during the month of June just drop.
Dude,
precipitously.
dude, our national birth rate is going to see a significant dip 9 months from now, or from then, whenever that's gonna be coming up soon.
Those would be March babies, sir.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get there soon. Yeah, that's compelling. Obviously compelling. It's not for me, but it was definitely up there. Um, I think for me, I wasn't as glued into it because it was coming at the end of doing another 50 hour or 40 at that point. I forget how much, 40, 50 hours of the base game to get back there. That I was in more of a regular rhythm, and I was taking my time, knowing it was a DLC. I wasn't just like straight up burning through it. I was trying to explore and finish quest lines, and for the most part, except for like Mesmer and Radon, I never hit any brick walls really that I was like stuck playing for till like 3 in the morning, just out of like just not going to bed on a loss type of thing. Whereas my pick for No Lifer was Metaphor Refantasio. That may not have been my number one playtime of whether new or old games played this year. It was right around 100 hours. While not like my longest playtime, I had similar circumstances like how I described my pick for last year with Baldur's Gate 3, where I'd be like, I'd look at the clock. It's like 11 p.m. I'm like, oh, I'll do one more quest. I'll go into one more mini dungeon or whatever. And I look back down at the clock and oh no, it's 3 in the morning. What have I done to myself? I've got to get up early tomorrow. And like Metaphor for me was constantly like, okay, I've done this dungeon. Like, let me do all these follower conversations. Like, let me just like do all these things like that can't take that long, but oh, I've done one, I might as well do the next and get myself set up to actually start the dungeon next time. So it was just constant, that whole cycle. And I've described it to Andrew this way, right? That like for such a long game, it's a game that has such a propulsive sense of momentum because of that calendar system, that it's just constantly pulling me in to keep going and keep that cycle moving. So it was just like, yeah, I'm just dumping hours into it at a time. So that's a no-brainer for me.
So mine, I didn't play many like games from this year because I'm a late to the party kind of guy, and so mine is also Herb Tree. Definitely of the 2024 games, put the most amount of time into that, staying up late, falling asleep with a controller in my hand.
Classic.
181 hours. 3 straight months at an average of 55 hours per month. This is the game that trapped me the most this year, and that is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There might have been 1 month with a higher average playtime for one singular game when I was cramming the shit out of Cyberpunk to get done for the episode, where I put 80 hours in a single month. But no game this year has come close to my 181-hour playthrough of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. No game has come nearly that way to the capture it had on me for 3 straight months of just, that is what I'm playing when I get out of work after I eat dinner. Or the amount of times when you guys would be like, let's play Helldivers for stream. And I was like, I want a Rebirth.
Were you like in those 180 hours? Were you always excited to boot up the game?
There was probably the final 8 hours where I was essentially grinding the most difficult challenges, doing the final Chadley VR challenges.
Right. He was like messaging me about those. It was like, I swear to God, if I waste another 40 minutes of my
Yes, I
time
remember
to
you.
get to the last sliver of health on this one, I might actually give up. It was like it was almost Jover at a couple instances, which surprised me.
I mean,
But yeah,
the
you pulled through.
Cloud and Zach duo, that VR challenge, and getting to Odin, which is basically just a DPS test to make sure you get it done fast enough before he does his insta-kill move. And getting there, having it down, knowing you've got one more shot to it, and fucking up one parry and watching Cloud go down and knowing that you are now in an infinite loop of, if I can get Cloud back up, I will do that, but then Zach will die, and then I'll have to get Zach back up, and then Zach or Cloud will die, and then Odin will have killed enough people that Zenketsuken will have now triggered, and the game is over.
Yeah, I remember your frustration about fucking Chadley, man. What are you doing? What is that little android boy doing here? What's he doing?
181 hours.
Yeah, so what's the...
See, Metaphor might, when I finish it, come around that play time for, going through a New Game Plus run, hitting everything I need to hit.
Yeah, because you're definitely going to do New Game Plus so you can face the actual Ultimate Challenge, which is not accessible until New Game Plus. And
I hope it's two police girl twins in a velvet room.
It's not. I can spoil this much for you because it just becomes thing. It's a dragon. Dragons become
I hope he's
big
weak
thing.
to ice.
But
reference.
Yeah, it's like I can understand, and I guess because you guys, I don't think anybody's basically going to move off their own vote, right? This one, I really don't think is going to happen.
I'm actually, I am now 15 hours into Metaphor.
I'm steepling my fingers, just like, yes, I see you are now a man of culture as well.
That's
Harder than me. I'm only about 8.
Yeah, that's for a game I started playing a week plus a few days ago. 15 hours is a pretty decent chunk of time to have already invested.
Also, for it to be a turn-based JRPG.
That as well.
Right.
But
and you're playing it on the base PS5, so you're playing it in inferior mode, as I would call it.
I played the whole thing on my
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing in the superior, full 60 frames.
Of all the games where that matters, I think this is like bottom of the list.
It doesn't. The only thing it can really improve is, and I don't even know if it does, is the aliasing.
No, the first thing I did was go through and turn the camera speed up.
Intriguing.
But yeah, I have had those just one more thing nights where I've been like, I'll be in bed soon, and then it's like 12:30, 1 a.m. and I'm like, oh shit, I wanted to be asleep by now. And so I am actually going to give my vote to Metaphor.
Let's go.
And it is yeah. I mean that's all I'm gonna say for now about it.
Say, Matt, I'm sure I can keep you as solid on
I mean,
Rebirth.
I can't change my vote on that one.
In good faith, I don't think you can either. I get it.
Like I'm only 8 hours in, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, the 8 hours with this. Yes, I've had 2 sessions where I've been like, wow, I went for like an hour longer than I would have expected to. But like, I'm not going to look at that and, throw away the fact that there were multiple on weeknights where I was like, holy shit, it's midnight and I'm still playing. I need to go to bed. As a person who is a firm 9:30 is the cutoff of video games on a weeknight.
Old man. Yeah.
2.5 hours.
Rebirth had me so captured that when we would stream Helldivers, I would then finish and then open up Rebirth and play for another hour, an hour and a half.
There you go. Can't argue with that. Mike, what about you? Sticking
yeah, I haven't played the other 2, so.
Yeah. All right, but Metaphor wins it. Let's fucking go, folks. We love to see it. We absolutely love to see it.
We also are not going to finish in 2 hours.
Well, I think so, because I think
Maybe.
we're all gonna have a consensus for this next one.
Matt, let's go. Let's see. You've instilled the fire within me. Let's get it done.
You walk off the stage. I drive on in my forklift. I back up to the microphone because I know how to back up a forklift because I'm certified. That is what we talk about when we're talking about a. I mean, the joke is always, forklift is, what we call Fortnite. So when we're talking about a forklift certification, we are talking about the game as a service slop of the game as a service slop. And I might have said that I forgot about Concord earlier, but this is where Concord falls for me.
Yeah, I had a whole list of this one for me, and you know what's interesting? I had 4 things written down here, and surprisingly, only one of them is free to play. And that's, I think, what is the ridiculous trend that I'm seeing now, is that trying to push a games as a service model onto some price tag or even to an extent fully priced games. So in that kind of theme, I'm gonna put Skull and Bones as my number one games as a service sloptacular
Ooh.
failure.
Just gonna take a quick aside here. Did anyone else see that Ubisoft has already said that they're working on their next quadruple A game?
I have not seen that, but I've also recently seen that they're still putting out content for Skull and Bones, even though they have a like negligible player count.
Gotta get sold somehow.
They gotta have something worth selling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Concord was at the top of my list because it's the same. It is the spectacular failure to end all failures. But yeah,
See, I almost feel like picking anything Ubisoft is like it's
Not
like picking
fair.
on the wheelchair kid in
not,
gym class.
not fair. I'm doing an ableism to the French.
So I was wrong about the sweep completely. I'm going Suicide Squad, and
That was on my list too. Another
Yeah.
another full price $70.
exactly, and that's largely the reason is it was $70 and then more.
It baffles the mind who thinks that like people are willing to deal with that shit for a full price game. I
That
don't.
isn't a game.
Pretty sure that game has the Joker in it, and anything that has the Joker in it is a full-on game.
But
sir.
it's the woke Jonkler. I don't know. He's
We need the
No, I'm
Joker.
pretty sure it's not based off of the real Joker, which is Jared Leto's Joker, the only Joker that should exist.
he
Can't
is,
do the Joker face.
Andrew, any left wing pick here?
No left wing pick here. I had Concord. I think
Sweet Concord.
I just like it's too funny that they put a game out for 2 weeks, took it off, said we'll
I
be
didn't think
back.
it was 2 weeks. I think it was 10 days.
It was
Okay.
like it was like 11 or 12 days.
All right, so not even 2 weeks, and then say we'll be back. Just wait, we need some fixing to do, and then like what 2 weeks after that say no, like a month.
It went radio silent for 2 months, and then the studio was shut down.
Okay, so yeah, like that saga is so fucking funny that it is the most slop you could be.
The only thing that upsets me is that when they removed the game and stopped selling it, I couldn't go to a store and get a physical copy.
Dude, people are selling their physical copies on eBay for like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I'm not paying someone $1,000
Yeah, I
for
know.
a fucking copy of Concord.
But it's
I
a
wanted
piece
to
of
buy it for $5
gaming-
like I did with Babylon's Fall
it's
before
a
they
piece
threw
of
it in the
it's a piece
dumpster.
of gaming history. Yeah, I think Skull and Bones and Suicide Squad are worthy picks.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I don't know. I'm like psyching myself out here. It's like again, Concord for what it represents is like hugely important for all that shit. But even what's there is more fuck. You just made me forget the word I was gonna think of. So now I'm gonna waste more time. It was more competent in some of its core design things than something like fucking Skull and Bones or Suicide Squad, right? But yeah,
My
I guess
favorite part
I think
about
it's still
King
gotta go with
Shark
Concord.
is that he uses guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he uses a minigun. We love it. Yeah, so fuck it. I'm still going Concord. Does Concord get the sweep here?
No, I'm sticking Suicide
Is
Squad.
it- okay, fair enough. I think that's totally fair because again, for what it coming from such a
Vaunted
Vaunted
studio.
studio, yeah,
Oh
it's
my
like-
god.
that is bad in and of itself. All right, let's see. We've got 9 minutes. Can we decide our this one? We don't even actually vote for it. This is actually just each of us. You get your little soapbox here.
I
Spend as
don't
much
think
or as little
anyone's gonna have their
time.
mind changed on this
Yeah, no.
category.
So this is.
and if
we
you
don't
do,
act-
you probably shouldn't be allowed to nominate a game.
Yeah, so I forgot that we don't actually vote on this one. This one is just a chance for everybody to get on your soapbox and tell us what was your. And we should probably call it something other than just game of the year because it is like, what is your gaming moment of the year? What is your defining video
One
game
shining
experience for 2024?
All right, I'm jumping in. Mine was playing Final Fantasy 16.
Based, incredibly
Oh, yeah.
based.
What I played 7 first because we played that for the pod.
But I don't think you finished it.
I didn't finish it. I finished 16. I enjoyed that a bit more. But so my second foray into Final Fantasy, I very much enjoyed it. I liked the combat system in 16 better than 7.
You should play Devil May
Thought
Cry.
the abilities were cool. They were fun. I could just like jump in, go around killing stuff, do some cool moves, could explore, could bop out, do other stuff and jump back into the game. Um, Definitely makes me want to play Rebirth, finish 7 remaster, and
Matt may
Remake, sir.
they
It
say
was a
remake. Sorry.
remake.
yeah, Matt may revoke my Final Fantasy culture card, but like I liked remake better than Rebirth. It is what it is.
I mean, you can't play one without the other, so
I don't think that's really relevant.
you're
but,
gonna
like,
jump into Rebirth without playing remake. You're gonna be like, "What's going on? Who are these people?
No,
Why are
I'm
they
saying
walking
I'm saying
around outside?
I think remake was better
What
than
is
Rebirth.
what is Sephiroth?"
Of course, I think you should play the first one.
Yeah, you should also play
but
Crisis Core, because if you don't play Crisis Core, how are you gonna know
That-
about Gungaga?
That, sir, is the true base take here. Yeah, yes, go play Crisis Core. Go buy a PSP and play it there.
But I cede my time. That's all I have to say about Final Fantasy 16. That was my gaming moment of
A
the
great
year.
game, and also still counts because it came out to PC this year. So
Okay. All right.
I'll jump in, and Mike, I'm first gonna just say that I do agree with you. I enjoyed the combat of Final Fantasy 16 over 7. Just because it's a little. I know it's
That just means that both of you should play Devil May Cry 5 or
yes.
Bayonetta.
And Bayonetta I have played.
bury the light.
But I'll get on with my gaming experience of the year, and it's gonna be Sekiro. I finally got to that this year, and that was, of all the games I played, that was truly my favorite experience that I completed, at least in 2024.
Once you play Sekiro, you can't play any of the other clone games that try to pull it off and just look at. You can understand why I look down on Fallen Order now.
Yeah, 100%. And Sekiro is so tight.
That's why I want you guys to play Lies of P to tell me what you think. How you think it stands up.
And I have Lies of P. It's on my list, but Sekiro it's such a flawless experience. It is so much fun. The combat is so tight. I don't think there's a better action game in terms of combat.
It's
really
one of the best
don't.
catered combat experiences they've ever made, and it's because there's one weapon, and that's your katana.
And
There's
it's so
the
good.
build crafting outside of your different prosthetics, and those are more of a side piece to what you're actually supposed to be doing.
Yeah, they don't even really create, like play styles as you would normally.
I mean, they do a little bit.
They become situational.
The umbrella makes you a little more of a
largely
turtle.
situational, but like,
Yeah.
But with the mechanic of like being tied to the spirit emblem thing of like you can't just spam your prosthetic,
So that's my gaming experience. I do want to shout out, Ben, you're gonna be happy. I want to shout out Metaphor. Just as a new release.
Preach, sir.
Like I said, I'm 15 hours in. I have loved every second. Like, I did not expect to enjoy it. I downloaded the prologue because of how you talked about the story that intrigued me, and everything else has kept me
Just
as
be
much
completely
engaged.
honest. It's because you got back to town, you met Fabienne.
I did immediately text Ben when I met Fabienne saying, of course, the hottest character in the game has a tail. So
Have you
You should have.
yes, I have.
If you're farther than me, you've definitely met her in the first dungeon already.
Yeah, I met Katarina.
they be cooking as well, yeah.
Because
Of course.
I sent Ben earlier that I will fix her.
Yeah, with the werewolf meme,
Beautiful.
the sad werewolf meme, yeah.
Beautiful. But yeah, so those are my my 2 picks for the year. I'm gonna leave it at that. You should play both. Sekiro, the best action game in my opinion out there.
Spoiler alert for game picks for the months. Sekiro is going to be my pick going into next year, because that's going to force me to go through and wrap up the platinum.
Oh yeah. All right, Matt, let's go. I don't think we're gonna hit the sub 2 hour.
No,
unfortunately.
I've been intensely dragging this out.
Just to prove me wrong. Go for it. So what's
This is where I got really stuck. Inside me are 2 wolves.
it's a good they're both gay.
No.
Inside you are 2 wolves and they're kissing.
The first wolf is sitting there going, 181 hours. You loved every minute of this. How could it be anything but this? And then the other wolf is just going, I am Astrobot. Astrobot.
Dude, I do love the SSD song. That one is fucking
SSD.
that's just stuck in my brain. But I can't credit Astrobot for that because it was in Playroom first.
Yeah.
So
So as difficult of a choice as this was for me, I honestly do think I have to give it to Astrobot. And the simple reasoning for it is because Astrobot was the first platformer since Odyssey that I've played that genuinely like recaptured that feel of like, this is why I like platformers. This is why I go out and like to jump around and collect little doodads and see my little bot friends and, you know, test all my little power ups. And like it uses the controller so well. Like it utilizes every aspect of the DualSense in a way that makes it just the best controller in gaming right now. And it's like, I love Rebirth. And Rebirth is an evolution of Remake that, you know, pushes it beyond what it was, you know, as the first game. But there is an evolution to it. It is a sequel. There is a, you know, a standardization
a
of.
familiarity.
I have played a lot of action games, and to say that it's my favorite action game would be lying because there are action games that go above that for me.
Yeah.
Sekiro is one of them. Elden Ring is one of them. But as far as my like pantheon of platformers go, Astrobot, you know, sprung ahead of so many Mario games immediately. And like he danced on Crash Bandicoot. Fuck Crash Bandicoot.
It is funny when you find Crash in the game.
There's a trophy involved with dancing in front of him.
Right. Yeah. And so speaking of trophies, right? Like that is a huge, in my opinion, as being a now on the record platforming hater, the fact that this game got me to platinum it should be, you know, some of the highest praise, right? For how good it is. The fact that it didn't make me want to throw my controller through my TV, because I do find platformers oftentimes uniquely difficult in a weird way. You know,
All right, I'm
Matt
changing my month pick from Sekiro to Celeste. Have fun.
fuck, Jesus Christ, yeah. And so I totally get it, and I actually think it's probably in my top 3, but it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who has heard me evangelize about it on the channel. If you really want my full thoughts on the game, go read my review on Patreon. But my game of the year, my number one gaming experience that just sucked me in from the minute I started to the minute I finished.
Doki Doki Literature Club.
Well, a fucking awesome, really weird game that I want to make us play for the podcast. But no, it is Metaphor ReFantazio.
Yeah,
The
we
one
need to finish
game,
this podcast up so I can go play some more.
the one game this year that like got me to shed a tear. I think Infinite Wealth might get me there. Maybe, I don't know. They kind
You
of
didn't cry when Astrobot died? You monster.
no. I giggled. I giggle every time he blows up like a balloon and explodes.
When he sacrificed himself to stop the aliens, you sat there and laughed like a monster.
I did. Nothing has impacted me like Metaphor this year. I think it is a game that is uniquely tuned to the time that it came out and why I felt so strongly that it should have won Game of the Year at things like the Game Awards is because it was just a story that needs to be told at this time. And it's the fact that it's told in such a skillful and artful way that there's just so much craft that goes into this. It is truly the epitome of, or the culmination rather, of everything that like Studio Zero has worked towards. All the weird sticking points that I had with Persona 5 were ironed out, but like not in a way that removed friction. It was just a much more enjoyable way to engage with its gameplay. I found the combat better. The build craft was insane. The characters were so well written, but the story,
no penis demon.
it does get docked maybe a slight bit for no penis demon. But when one of your party members, like when she summons her archetype and says Persona Master, you know, I was hooting and hollering, right? You know, I love that shit. And so it's like there's so many like little cool references to their other work there. I just think it was just such a, definitely a masterpiece.
What I would say to both of you is, I mean, you've obviously played Persona 5. And Persona 5 is there's a whole lot of additional aspects to Persona 5 that Metaphor doesn't touch on. It's got its own romance system. you're a schoolboy, so you got to do fucking classwork. That's a whole other layer to it. But if you really enjoy Metaphor, you should take a peek at Shin Megami Tensei Vengeance,
I have it on my shelf here.
because it does
the
all of the combat stuff very similarly, but it kind of pares down a lot of the, like, it's not a social sim, so you don't have the school aspect of it. There's no romance section to it that you have to worry about. You know, am I romancing my classmate properly? I mean, that's what I like about Metaphor personally, as a romance in-game hater, because
yeah, I
most
know.
in-game
I do like that there's no romance. Although I would like to romance Fabienne if I could. You know, I must protect my man Grease's common wife. But yeah,
what
look,
did
no,
you name your
I've got the
what
steel
did you
book. Mine was I kept the W theme from the base thing of Will, and I went with Wolfric.
I named mine Peter and
Spelled
myself.
with like spelled with like three Y's.
Yeah, yeah.
Peter.
And mine myself is God.
I kept my theme of naming my characters after anime main characters. So this one is Edward, for Edward
Okay.
Elric.
Yeah. Elricson. Hell yeah. There is a reason though, like they get to, I won't spoil it, but like why they call him Will, why the default is Will, there's like a bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of reason why. But like, yeah, I went with Wolfric. But yeah, I highly recommend go check out my review of it. I was proud of that write-up. I think it's a uniquely special game and one that should be played by as many people. You know, again, putting direct, putting itself right up against the thing is games shouldn't be political, right? That it takes that head on and does it in such a.
Oh my god, when they were like, you have to get people to vote for you, it was like, fucking voting? Is there going to be an electoral college?
No, you just do it. It's a mind democracy.
I
Democracy.
mean, I sent you the text of that time I died and reincarnated as a sentient floating head who can read people's minds.
It's just some fascinating ideas here, and just I really appreciate it as somebody who engages with speculative fiction as a type of creative resource for kind of radical revolutionary thinking. Is that it is I really just was connecting with its main thematic of, you know, can fantasy change the real world? Can fiction have an impact on the real world? And I think yes, it does. It is.
I did enjoy that his fantasy book is about a world without magic, with glass skyscrapers, and
yeah, it's our world. But like as you dive further into it, you realize that utopian idea is also flawed, and but like that's not a reason to stop hoping and to stop.
The only thing I hope for is more Hulkenberg.
I am definitely a Hulkenberg enjoyer.
Stop letting Matt drag this out just because he doesn't have to edit it anymore.
You see, there's a little bit of that, though, where if I was editing it, I could just go through and be like, Astrobot wins again.
Look at this. So surprising. All right, folks. It's been a interesting year for gaming. There's been some highs, there've been some lows. I am excited for 2025. I've started pulling together some stuff for, you know, what we can expect next year. We got to talk a little bit as a group about our kind of content schedule, because I think we're going to kind of change it up just a little bit to make it a little bit easier on ourselves for what and how many games we're trying to complete for the podcast. But we'll basically give us some freedom to potentially kind of explore some related but other topics that interest us through the industry, and maybe it's more games and stuff like that, but some more.
Maybe it's an entire deep dive onto the amount of polygonal physics in Eve's ass.
Hell yeah. I'd be here. I'd be there taking notes. Yeah, so we will see you all next year. I don't know what
thing. We said the thing. Everyone's going to do it, you know, when they see their coworkers for the last time. I'll see you next year, guys.
Yeah, but that's only egregious when you're saying it on the 31st, right? It's several weeks away when we're recording.
You're falling into his trap here.
2 weeks
It's
away.
fine. Whatever. Semantics. But we appreciate you all for listening. We hope to see you in the new year. You can support us. Check out the Patreon. More written content coming your way.
Check out
Nothing.
the campaign Comrades Fansly, where you will see pictures of my feet.
Yeah, pixelated unless you pay the extra tip. Yeah, we will see you in January. It'll be a surprise for you as well for us as what we're covering from the get-go. There's some February is going to be a fucking crazy month for gaming already. It's fucking nuts. It's wild. Don't know what we're going to be doing. All right, boys and girls and MBs, we will see you next time. Thank you so much for following along this year. We will see you next time.